So, seen any good moves lately? Welcome back to episode number 6 of the Survivor 49 recap. My name is Joey Olberding, and today I am joined by another Olberding. It's true. Today we are joined by my brother Greg. How are you doing, Greg?
It's true, Joey. There's more of us. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back on Joey's podcast to see any good moves lately.
Yes, that is the name of it. Don't you forget it. And it's true. We are talking about Survivor here. And we're talking about Survivor 49, which I think to a lot of people so far has maybe been a bit of a slower season, but I thought this past episode was quite good personally. But what did you think?
Yeah, I see both perspectives. To me, the last two episodes, in fact, have been a little bit better. Um,
Hmm.
Overall, though, I still feel like, when people are saying that, and I'm not necessarily accusing you of this, Joey, but I feel like
Sure.
it's just kind of like it's a little bit of cope, it's a little bit of like, well, I want to like Survivor, so I'm gonna tell myself that I'm liking this. Or maybe it's like Survivor is like sex is like pizza, where even when it's bad, it's still pretty good,
Okay. Yeah,
like
sure.
I don't know. I think it's one of those because by the standard of Survivor and even by the standard of the new era, I so far as a whole, I'm giving this season a big old shrug.
Hmm. Yeah.
Not that it's like, yeah, it's not like actively bad, I guess. No, but to your point, I do think it's improved. I think it's improved. I think the first couple of episodes were just a slog. I think the last few episodes have been pretty good. This particular episode, I mean, we'll obviously recap the whole thing, but I thought it had the best vote of all of the episodes so far.
Hmm.
So, in that sense, I agree with you. I think it's on the upward trend. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. We'll talk about all that in due time.
Yeah. But overall, you give the season a shrug.
I
Do you
give this.
think that do you think that that's just kind of normal of like the new era, or do you think this season's like especially bad in that regard?
N- I don't think it's normal. I
Okay.
think so. I follow this account on Instagram called Survivor Fact Checker, and
Hmm.
this guy, it's obviously very unscientific. He's just polling his followers. But I will participate in these polls weekly, and he tracks. He started kind of midway through 43, and he's
Mm.
been tracking like the overall sentiment of the seasons. Uh, and at this point in the season,
Hmm.
I want to say, so this isn't my personal opinion, of course. This is
Sure.
aggregated opinions. Uh, I want to say 49 is the second lowest at this point in the season since Survivor 43 or 44.
Okay. Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, that's
the
interesting.
the facts are on my side. The data is on my side with this one. I think the other one, if I recall, was it 46 with Banu?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I think the whole Banu saga in 46 really had people very frustrated with that season because here's this guy who's getting so much screen time and he was funny at first, but it
Hmm.
got to the point where he was just painful to watch, and
Sure.
he lasted like maybe two more episodes than he should have.
Hmm.
And I think fan sentiment for 46 was quite low. Around, I think now is about the time that Banu was voted out in that season, and
Yes.
after that, it skyrocketed and it ended up as one of the most popular seasons.
Yeah.
Um, so all that's to say, yeah, I mean, what's come so far to me is not an indicator of what's to come necessarily. A lot of seasons have had a great pre-merge and a boring post-merge, or vice versa.
Hmm.
Um, so, but all we can talk about is what's happened so far.
Yes, that's true. And I also do think part of it is sort of like, well, this is coming right before season 50. we already know the cast list for 50
Yep.
basically, and I think that's a big part of it. And also, this may be a smaller thing, but we did also just have the Australia versus the world right before the season came out, which had some big U.S. Survivor names,
Mhm.
and I mean, I watched it and it was quite good. But it was also like when you put sort of like a basic new era season between those two, especially when we already know the cast list for 50 and a lot of stuff, I think inevitably that makes something like 49 very easy to overlook or very
Yeah,
easy to
it's
just
kind of
kind of shrug at.
it's like a Survivor hangover, you know? It's like,
Sure.
well, we're kind of getting our Survivor fix elsewhere right now.
Hmm.
Everyone is just so eagerly anticipating 50. And quick, like, housekeeping note, I mean, I know who from 49 is going to be on 50. I'm sure you do too.
Hmm.
Is that something that we are discussing on this podcast, or is it a spoiler free?
No, it's come up. It's come up in the past two episodes. So yeah,
Okay.
I think the floodgates are open, but
Yeah.
word of warning to whoever cares about that. So yeah.
Yes. Well, if I do mention it, I'll try to add a quick spoiler alert.
Hmm.
And okay,
Yeah.
just I wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah. But no, I mean generally across the board, I think you're right. I think, shouts out pizza, shouts out Survivor. I think it's good. And I do think that there were some episodes of the season so far where I was a little like, all right. Yeah, I was very much like, I don't know, like as somebody who does a podcast about this stuff, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna podcast about this for an hour and a half. That's how I felt last episode with the Jason episode. I had my friend Addie on, and we were talking about it, and I ran out of stuff to talk about, and then we started talking about the Jake episode again, which that did happen. That happened. That was pretty crazy. Like so
Yeah.
it's not like nothing has happened this season, but you know,
Well, to go back to the previous episode for a minute, the thing that I actually really liked about that episode was, and I'm surprising myself as much as anybody when I say this, was the journey that
mm,
Nate and MC went on.
yeah,
I thought that was a really good journey because unlike most of almost any journey, they have like some kind of like pre-established strategy built in. Like either you have to choose, between two things, and you maybe have a little bit of the sense of what the odds are. Sometimes it's a literal dice roll. I think
yeah.
they listened to us on that one, and they're not
Hmm.
they're not bringing that back. Um, but with that one, I thought Nate had a genuinely interesting strategy.
Yeah,
Like
really.
he gamed it in an unconventional way that I don't think the producers were quite anticipating.
Hmm.
And that really opened me up to Nate as a serious player in this game. So that alone was enough to redeem much of the previous episode for me. Then obviously, yeah, like the vote was boring. I already forget the guy's name. Jason. Uh,
Jason, yep.
yeah. That was boring. Like the writing was so on the wall for him. He was not a super interesting player. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm the one who's grasping at straws now, but that was the one where I was like, all right, there's a little bit of light. And then this episode, yes, like it's the best so far.
It is interesting the words that you say in the sense of like, yeah, like the journey was interesting. Like it was an interesting strategy by Nate. I liked switching it up, doing something different at the journeys and having, this strategic element to it, whether intentional or not, that was there. And also it's like if you look at the season, like things are happening that are not normal of the new era. You had not one but two tribe swaps,
Yep.
and we swapped to two tribes and then back to three, and it's like we have all this switching up of the game, which is I think what people have been clamoring for a while now,
Yes.
partially myself included. But as Survivor Borneo is the season playing behind me, I think about the episode where Ramona Gray goes home, the episode title being Too Little Too Late, because that's how I'm feeling. It's like we're 9 seasons into the new era now, and it's like is just the very nature of it being 9 seasons into the new era. Is that going to make it feel stagnant no matter what you do to switch it up? Because I feel like people are still having the same complaints that they did. People aren't like, thank God. They're more like, can we change something up still?
Well, I do appreciate that we are getting the tribe swaps, and in particular,
Yeah.
I think that the 2 to 3 swap from this episode was fun.
Yeah.
Um, to your point, can it redeem the new era? Well, no,
Hmm.
but the new era is almost over. And maybe this is the other piece of it, is that like the reason why 49 is just the season we all have to get through to get to 50 is because I think that there's an assumption that the show will be fundamentally changed in some other way after
Yeah.
50, you know.
Hmm.
And I don't I don't know that that's actually true. Right?
Yeah.
Like they've been pretty reticent to actually make any big moves. The big moves era is over,
Hmm.
from the Survivor producers for a while now. Like they pretty much have their format. They pretty much stick to it. It's the same 3 tribes, the same 3 colors. The merge happens around the same time. The rewards are all at the sanctuary, or they're like some real inept looking grilled cheeses back at camp.
And brownies.
And
That
don't
classic
forget the
combination.
brownies. So like from that perspective, like I don't know, will they switch it up? I hope so. But yes, but it is too little too late in terms of the new era. Now that is also to say that I don't think the new era has been that bad. I think
No.
actually been some really great seasons in the new era. Yeah, the format has gotten a little bit stale, and I am a little bit sick of how like wholesome it's been. But like,
Hmm.
but there's been we've seen some great Survivor. It doesn't have to be this way, and it's not too little too late for 49. I appreciate that they're trying new things. They're trying to spice it up, switch things up in quite a literal way, in order to get something going. I think they see that this is kind of a boring season, and they're trying to get something going.
Sure. Yeah. No, I appreciate that because I do have to wonder, like they always say when it comes to these seasons, like, okay, we make all the decisions ahead of time, like
Mhm.
we're not doing anything based on the players. But I have to wonder if like the whole advent of this swap and then another swap and not merging at 12 like they normally do has to do with Jake getting medevac because they killed off the strongest guy in the game, almost killed him off, very close to killing him off, and then they do this tribe swap when the original Luvu tribe goes down to 2, and then the swap just kind of screws over Hina, and then it's like, well, we don't have any Hina players left. Maybe we need to swap again so Sophie doesn't go home or whatever else.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's undeniable that the switch to 2 was the result of Jake's medevac. I don't think anybody wanted to see a tribe of 2 consisting of Sophie and Alex.
Yeah.
That, like, I guess it would have been interesting, but like it's not Stephanie and Bobby John,
It's not as satisfying as the other two person tribes in Survivor history. Certainly Bobby John and Stephanie. It's like, yeah, you went through a gauntlet of 8 people going home before you got left with these two.
Yeah.
And even with like, this has also happened in the new era. I think about Shannon Ricard. It's like, yeah, both of those were the best players on their tribes. And I'm not saying that Sophie and Alex aren't good players, but I didn't see them have to navigate the game the same way that those other ones did. Like Sophie kind of did when Jeremiah went home at 3 because she was not the target for Alex or Jeremiah, but Alex had an idol, so he kind of just got to coast in his own way.
And Alex has gotten a lot of screen time, but I'm not convinced that he's a particularly interesting player or
Yeah,
Survivor character even. I mean, to me, he's very, very new era derogatory. Just like kind of like happy, wholesome, your grandma
Yeah,
will like him. Uh doesn't have there's not much like grit to him, There's not
yeah,
much like if he has a dark side, he's really not showing it. Um and I think that like that's the kind of thing that you need in a situation like your tribe being whittled down to two members. You need some friction for it to be interesting.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a decimation.
Yeah, no, I definitely think about the difference between Sophie and Alex. Sophie, now she did lose every episode until this past one, but she was like, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Mhm.
Like I did not want to come to Survivor and have this happen. If nothing else, complaining about the situation and being
Yeah.
genuinely unhappy. And meanwhile, Alex is just like, you never know what Survivor's gonna be like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it doesn't seem genuine. Like if he was just a straight up Ned Flanders type,
Hmm.
then that might be kind of funny, but he's
Sure.
not. He's like a normal guy who's putting on this affect of being like relentlessly positive and oh, I'm such a
Hmm.
smiley boy. Aren't
Yeah.
I a smiley boy?
Yeah.
That's Alex to me. So it doesn't okay, so my clearly I don't like Alex very much. I don't think though it's just my personal dislike of him as a character coloring this. Like it was just not something we wanted to see. And to your point, the best players on that tribe were Sophie and Jake.
Hmm.
And Jake did not choose to be medevac. Uh,
And by the way, when you say best player being Jake, he was not the best player because he was strategically great or anything like that. He was one of the best players because he was large, and so people were like, "Yeah, I want to work with this guy."
yeah, and he was really nice in a way that to me came across as much more genuine than Alex.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, I think he was a more interesting social player because he had that kind of like discrepancy between appearances and personality that we got with who was like the wrestler guy like many seasons ago.
Oh, John
Yeah,
from David versus Goliath.
John
Yeah,
from
yeah,
David versus Goliath. Like that's who I was thinking of, who like looks like this meathead and turns out to be like this very like sensitive man.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
that's what I was getting from Jake, and that's a lot of why I was looking forward to seeing what he would do. With Alex, it's like I've seen this guy a million times in the new era, and
hmm,
even before. He's gonna go far. He's probably not gonna have a. He's probably not gonna get to the end. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. Um,
yeah,
but I see him. I see him if he wins, it'll be like the way that Charlie arguably should have won.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. I'm thinking about your relentless positivity thing, and I do have a graphic of the tribe swap. Not even to talk about the swap yet, but just to talk about the people left in the game.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking about who are the relentlessly positive people because I think about casting, and I think about like,
Yes.
well, you kind of probably have to put on a happy, glowy, smiley type personality to make it further in casting. And I just look at these people, and I'm like, Rizzo checks the box.
Yes.
MC arguably checks the box.
Yeah.
Um,
MC's shown a little bit more, but yes,
yeah,
she's definitely on that side of the spectrum.
Jawan checks the box. I would say Steven checks the box.
Oh, I think Steven's maybe the worst offender.
Mhm. Shannon is interesting. We're going to talk about a lot about Shannon today. I would say she does not check the box, but I could see the argument.
Mhm.
Alex certainly checks the box, and Christina checks the box, and that's half the cast still in the game.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And Nate doesn't check the box, but I do think Nate's on that side of the spectrum too.
Yeah, I could see that. He strikes me. The reason I like Nate is like you just talked about how Alex is just like a normal guy. Well, Nate is actually just like
He
an
is.
actual normal guy. Like I could walk into a coffee shop today and see Nate and be like, that's a guy who likes a black coffee or whatever. You know,
Yes.
it's like, yeah. Um, while Alex, if nothing else, there's some disconnect because he works on Capitol Hill or whatever, and it's like I can see him being on Capitol Hill, and it's like I that's a life that's foreign to me. But Nate, this guy probably worked as a barista 10 years ago or something, and I'm like, yeah, I'd see that, or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, I like Nate for that reason. What I've said about Nate in the past, and I'll say again, is like Nate feels like he would not be cast on the show if he didn't have a claim to fame. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I like the fact that he's on the show because of that claim to fame, because that means that we can just have a normal dude. And sometimes like a normal person is like the people that Survivor as a whole, like we love the most. Like I think about Saul. This is just like a normal guy, and people
Yeah.
love Saul.
Or even like I think that was the archetype that Suri was filling before it became clear that she's the greatest to ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I like Nate a lot. And yeah, I'm totally with you. Now, what is normal? I mean, you go to Washington, D.C. I was in D.C. earlier this year, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, everyone you see walking down the street looks like Alex, you know. They're
Yeah.
like preppy, cheery, totally fake. I'm sorry. My bias against Alex is really out of pocket. He doesn't deserve all this, but he I think he is probably normal for where he lives and works
Sure.
and the kinds of circles that he runs in. Nate, yeah, he's a movie producer or whatever. Like that's cool. He's got his claim to fame. You can find a guy who looks and talks and acts like him anywhere in the US.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes. And it's interesting what you say about Alex, because as a person who works in news, I can say that Savannah seems pretty normal for a reporter, kind of. Like she kind of checks the boxes of being like no nonsense, like very to the point. Um, Sometimes rude, but she tells it how it is, that sort of thing. Like that makes sense. That checks the boxes. That
And
yeah,
that is why Savannah and now Sage are the two like best characters on this season, is because they let the darkness come in. I mean, maybe
yeah,
darkness is not the right word, but they recognize that Survivor is a frictional game,
sure,
and they embrace that and they don't shy away from it. You know, I I think that a lot of what has been frustrating about this season, it comes down to this like kumbaya thing that we got in seasons like was it 44?
yeah. I was about to say 44 is the big one in my mind. Yeah,
Like I think this has not been on that level by any means, but I do think that just the cast is is that kind of cast.
yeah,
That is the bent of this cast. And even the people like Sage, for example, has had to play up that side of her personality, even though she is actually a bit more cynical than she lets on,
hmm
in order to fit in.
yeah,
And that it just makes the scenes of camp life pretty dull.
yeah. I mean, I think about just like the original Hina before we had these tribe swaps, and I just think about like I didn't know anything about any of them. I still kind of don't, because I don't think there is any tension to show. Um,
Yeah.
the most tension that we were shown is like Matt is trying to make alliances, and he's older than the rest of these people. Whoa.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, he's an old white guy with dreadlocks, but actually he has more than he lets on. He used to be a financial analyst.
he wears glasses, so he's smart. Yeah,
I mean, I thought Matt was an interesting guy. I think he probably had a pretty low ceiling in Survivor, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of him just because he was a little bit quirky and not in just a I'm a white guy with dreads way, in ways that I wasn't quite expecting.
sure, sure. I get that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the fact that he's still probably the most interesting person on Hina, it's either him or MC at this point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's like I think about sort of Hina, and then even after the initial tribe swap, it's like, okay, new situations, new place. Matt and Jason are on the bottom. We're gonna finally see how they play. And Matt, we kind of see how he plays. He talks about how he hates Sandra, or whatever. And it's like, all right, good for you, man. And then he gets voted out. And
Yeah.
then we're just like, all right, Jason, his back is to the wall. What's he gonna do? And then he kind of is just like, I'm I'll help you. And then he gets voted out. And it's like, all right, well, whatever.
And he referred to that in his final confessional as a blind side. Like, bro, what
It's crazy.
what did they tell you? What could they possibly have said to you that you just straight up did not see this coming?
That's another thing is I have to wonder being on Survivor, and let's say you are surrounded by a guy like Jawan, and what Jawan has done, at least to both Matt and Jason, is he was like, yeah, I get you, we're bonded because we're nerds. And it's like if I were in that situation, I would be like, all right, but like that's not enough. I feel like that shouldn't be enough for you to want to jump ship from your alliance. Like I would at least play my shot in the dark in this situation.
Right.
But
That's what it's there for, is when the vote is so clear cut and it's obviously going to be you, play your shot in the dark. Like, what do you have to lose? And he couldn't even muster that. I mean, yeah, he we've had some great luck with alternates in the last few seasons. I mean, I think Rachel is gonna go down as maybe not one of the best winners ever, but
impressive.
One of the winners ever. That's true.
Yeah.
And she was an alternate, and we've had people like Shaheen and then there's Jason, who it's like, oh well, yeah, I guess they can't all
It's
be
cool
right.
you made it on. Yeah.
Good for you. You got to live your dream. You were playing with house money, and you proceeded to do absolutely nothing with it. Good job.
I've been deep down inside my soul. I've just been like why I've been so flabbergasted by the way Jason played in the past two episodes before he went home, because he gets to this tribe swap and Savannah extends this olive branch like, hey, you want to work with us? And he's like, no. he's like, no, I'm really good with my other tribe. I can't lie. I'm feeling solid. Meanwhile, you all have the numbers to vote me out right now. And then the last episode, he realizes all of a sudden, like, oh wow, I'm in a bad position. And so he's like, I can be like the in between. I'm still gonna work with my old Hina tribe, but I can work with you too. And then what I would do in a situation like that is like, you have this shot in the dark, something that got utilized a lot in I think 47, maybe 46, is like, use that as like, I will give you my shot in the dark to build trust, because I have to trust somebody. And
yeah, it's a bargaining chip. It's collateral. Like, use the tools at your disposal. He just straight up didn't. It seemed like he was hoping that somehow he would not go back to tribal council, or I don't know, they would turn on one of their own, and he and Matt would vote as a block to get one of the red people out, and it just didn't. It didn't happen that way. And talk about too little, too late. I mean, we didn't see much of what went on with Jason leading up to that tribal, but it seems like he heard one person say, "Oh no, it's not going to be you tonight," and he's like, "Oh, sweet."
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So who are we voting for again? And who did he put his vote down for? Do you remember?
I think it was Nate, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. Yeah. It don't really matter. But yeah, no, like I've said this before. This is I guess last season maybe, but everybody has an advantage when they start the game, and that is the shot in the dark. It is something that is that is an advantage. And just because everybody has it doesn't mean that, it's not an advantage anymore. It means that you have this advantage that everybody else has, and you can use that as leverage for. It's the only way on Survivor to prove your trust before a vote, or to prove your loyalty to something. Like it makes sense. Like it's to such an extent that I feel like if you went up to me and were like, Joey, I'm giving you my shot in the dark, work with me, I would be like, oh my God, you can only give your shot in the dark out to one person. Like, I will do what I can to keep you in the game, because that means that you actually want to work with me. You kind of can't give away your shot in the dark and be like, oh, by the way, I'm voting you out or something like that.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Or if you did, it would just be a big move.
It would be a big move, and you'd lose your shot in the dark, and you'd lose your advantage. So, yeah,
that would be a hell of a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I mean, how many people have played the shot in the dark and gone on to win?
Nobody, I don't think. Because
statistically, even a successful shot in the dark play, of which there's been 2 or 3.
Yeah. Actually, maybe Rachel played her shot in the dark. I don't know.
Rachel had the strategic shot in the dark play where she was like trying to figure out if she should play her idol or not.
Yeah, right? She, according to Microsoft Copilot AI, which this is how it goes with the internet. Yes, Rachel Lamont played her shot in the dark during a recent episode of Survivor 47. Recent. Instead of voting, she used the shot in the dark to gather information about the other players' reactions, which she did not expect to be strong. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so you're right.
But it was an unsuccessful shot in the dark play.
Yes, it was.
So, that was really my point. Because if there was a track record of okay, every winner on average has one tribal council where they are at risk of going home, and they plant the shot in the dark, and 1 in 6 is successful. And if you can just figure out which one is yours, which is the week that you need to survive, that's when you play the shot in the dark, and then you'll go on to win. If that were how it would work, then we would have expected to see it happen by now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I also think inherently, I think about Caleb in 45, he had this big shot in the dark play, eliminated all of these votes, big episode, Caleb, whoa, he played his shot in the dark successfully, and it worked. Then he's gone the next episode.
Exactly. And that's really the reality of it, because once your shot in the dark is gone, okay, you've made it another day. That's great. Maybe you've got $20,000 more or whatever it is. But
pretty nice.
If your position in the game hasn't fundamentally changed by the next tribal council, well, now everyone knows you don't have the shot in the dark, and okay, let's just vote Caleb again. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Especially when you already get all the votes for this. This is something that happens a lot on another reality show that I watch, which is The Challenge, which is, people will vote somebody in to go into the elimination, the one-on-one duel. Whoever loses gets voted out. And if they win the duel, they get back into the house. But if they don't change their positioning, or if they lose another challenge, it's okay, well, I can just put Greg back in the arena, and then they can go home again, we can try to get them out again because, we already did that. It's the same thing.
The odds of him getting back every single time are they approach 0 as the more.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just human nature. I'm not burning an additional bridge. I already burned this bridge, and I can just keep torching the wood until, it's all charcoal or whatever. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's get kind of into this episode proper, because, this was an interesting episode, and I do have more thoughts on it than I feel like I have the past few episodes. Because, we started off, Jason is gone. That's right. Jason is gone. And the old new Hina tribe, being Rizzo, Savannah, Sophie, and I guess that's it. Yeah, it's just no, and Jawan, I think, are back, and they're like, "Whoa, we got rid of all the Hina members. That's great." And but Savannah's like, "I still want Jawan out though." And it's interesting to me because this is something that we've seen for the past few episodes from Savannah, and part of me is like, yeah, you should work with the people that you're comfortable with, but part of me is also like feels like it's a little played up, like because Jawan's still on your side, right? Like I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's on the bottom of the original. What's that tribe? What's the red tribe?
Uli.
The original Uli. Maybe he's on the bottom of the original Ulis. But as far as things go, I guess I don't quite understand why what Savannah's reasoning is there. I mean, Jawan seems pretty loyal, pretty
Hmm.
harmless, pretty predictable player. Doesn't seem like a huge threat in any phase of the game. Um, I mean, to me, he seems like he's maybe a little bit annoying, but
Sure.
he seems like a decent enough person to have on your side. Uh, so yeah, I would tend to agree that it's a bit played up. We're trying to get tension wherever we can get it, and
Yeah.
Savannah is somebody who speaks her mind,
Hmm.
which is rare on this season. At least she speaks her mind to the confessional camera,
Yeah.
and she happens to not like Jawan. Okay, fair enough, and that's that's what they're playing up. That's how I interpret that. But I don't know. Maybe there's. Do you think that there's another reason why Savannah has it out for Jawan?
Um, I think it's pretty simple, honestly, is that she's not been able to get away from him for all these days, and I think it's just a personality conflict, and she just doesn't like him. And I think about Savannah's positioning. It's like, for the first however many days, Uli was winning every challenge, so they didn't have anybody to vote out or anything like that. No strategic moves to be made other than you know going kumbaya and like making a slight four, but like we still haven't voted together or anything. With Shannon, Nate, RSE, God, and of course Savannah. Um, and then it's like Sage and Jawan are naturally on the outs, and meanwhile Jawan is annoying. And I think that like if you just keep winning, eventually it's going to be like, all right, well I'm ready to lose, so I can get rid of this guy. And then when you can't get rid of him, it's the same thing. But also, I think Savannah is smart enough to be like, yeah, well, I should get rid of Jason instead of him. But I think it's really just a matter of like I can't get away from this guy and he's annoying me. It reminds me of Survivor 45 with the similar alliance of four on a red tribe, the Reba Four, and how they were all really annoyed by Sifu. Um, Very similar. And I can imagine Jawan, like Sifu, being, like a Mergatory, if we even do Mergatory this season, a Mergatory boot, um, because, he's an easy person to sacrifice so that your numbers don't look as strong.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I would agree with that read. I think Jawan is a perfectly fine member of that alliance for now, but the personality differences and frankly the power of that alliance at this point. I mean, as it stands, they're going to go into the merge with some crazy numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Losing Shannon probably does hurt them a little bit, but like as long as Shannon and or not Shannon, Savannah, RSEGOD, and Nate stay strong, like they'll be fine.
Yeah.
And Nate and MC have bonded now. Uh,
They've brought in Sophie
yeah,
to that alliance.
and since Sophie's there, Alex is also probably there. So that's a group of six, and whether or not that's actually a real thing, we shall see. But yeah, no, I think you're right. It's like
Yeah,
people
so
like
Jawan's a little bit expendable.
yeah, people like Steven or whoever else are like now all of a sudden it's like, all right, I don't know how you get out of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Other than just by really bonding hard over Marvel with
with
Jawan
Jawan.
and Nate,
Yeah,
and the Marvel Alliance decides to avenge all of their
It
fallen
is
comrades.
it is a little funny how Jawan and Steven had this big Marvel talk about like, yeah, nerds. And Nate, meanwhile, is there and he's like, produced like several Marvel movies, franchises, you know.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, he's doing a good job of playing that down, and oh, I'm just a stay-at-home dad. You look at that guy, you're like, yeah, that's a stay-at-home dad, like for sure.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, well, let's get to this actual tribe swap because we swapped to tribes of four, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how often that's happened in Survivor history, but these are the tribes. Let's just go top to bottom. MC, Rizgod, Savannah, and Sophie. What do we think about this tribe?
So stacked. I mean,
Mhm.
this is as stacked of a tribe as you could possibly ask for. I can't think of a single switch that I would make to make this a more stacked tribe. You've got
Yeah,
one of the most, maybe the most physical competitor in the entire tribe in MC in the entire game. You've
yeah,
got maybe the most social competitor in Rizzo. You've got maybe the most strategic competitor in Savannah, and you have the competitor who has the most experience actually playing Survivor in Sophie.
yeah.
What how could it happen that way? And I think if this tribe had gone to tribal, it would have clearly been MC.
Yeah.
Um, Not only is she the sole non-member of this larger alliance we were talking about, but she's also, not that she's an unstrategic player, but I think she's the least strategic player of the four. Um, I think it would have just been a bulldozing, but they are also just a very very good tribe at challenges, and they ran away with the immunity challenge, and it was never going to happen. So almost such a good tribe that it becomes a little bit boring, almost.
Hmm. Well, let me ask you a question because this is something that got posed to me a few times over the past two episodes, which is, you know, there's a situation where each tribe had five Uli or five Hina and two of the other one, or something like that, or four and two, and they could have thrown and then get rid of the people on the other tribe, and then it just so happened the one with the two Hinas lost twice, and then Matt and Jason went home. And this situation is kind of similar, where it's like, yeah, sure, Sophie isn't actually an Uli member, but she's honorary at this point. Um, and there's a world where you could throw the immunity challenge and get rid of MC, and once again get rid of another original Hina member.
Mhm.
Um, and especially armchair quarterbacking, knowing how it goes with Shannon going home, it's like, it might not have been the worst idea in the world, but what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, the thing about throwing a challenge in a situation where there's three tribes
Hmm.
is you don't know, you can only lose for yourself. You
Yeah,
know, you can't lose for either of the other teams. So you are still leaving it up to a coin flip on which tribe actually goes.
sure.
So actually, like if you can pull up the graphic
Yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
I want to talk about the counterfactual where the new Uli tribe goes to tribal council, and it's Alex, Christina, Nate, and Sophie. Um, I mean, it's Nate, right?
Yeah,
In that case, so like, and Nate is an original Uli as well, right?
yeah, yeah, he is. Yeah,
So either way, you have an Uli on the bottom on either of the other uh, on either of the other tribes.
yeah.
So it really is, yeah. I think you're right that throwing it would have been the only way uh, to guarantee. Now that I'm looking at this, you're right. The throwing it would have been the only way to guarantee that an original Hina would go home.
Hmm. I mean, theoretically, like that shouldn't be true if you look at our blue tribe in the middle, where You do have three
Steven
Uli,
is on the bottom.
and Steven should be on the bottom.
Yes.
And I mean, if you're Rizgod or Savannah, you don't know the situation between Sage and Shannon. You don't know the weird one-sided tension that's been going on between them, whether anger tension or sexual tension. Ask either, and they'll tell you a different answer. But you don't know any of that, but you do know that hey, MC is, as you said, the best physical competitor in the game. So,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah. And not like I don't say any of that to downplay that she is or has the potential to be a strategic player as well. She seems like
sure.
a perfectly smart, capable person.
Yeah.
I do think she was mogged a little bit by Nate at that journey in terms of strategy. But
yeah, for sure.
But to that point, I mean, given that they did actually compete in the immunity challenge and win, I think that this was the better of two possible outcomes for. Well, okay, if you take the possibility that Steven would have been voted out on the new Uli, no,
Yeah,
well,
no, the new Helen, I think it
yes.
is. Yeah.
So that would have been the best. I think Shannon getting voted out is the second best outcome, and Nate getting voted out would have been the worst outcome. So yeah, I don't know. They could have thought about doing it. I also don't know how a tribe that good could have thrown that challenge.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, it would have to be pretty darn obvious.
Yes.
Um and then what does that say when everybody else in the game is like, oh, they're throwing this to get rid of MC? I mean, to some extent it's like, what could Steven really do about that? What could he do about seeing, people be throwing the challenge when three members of the original Hina tribe are gone now, assuming MC does go home in that situation. Uh, I don't know. But I look at it like this is something that I thought when Jason and Matt, the vote was between them. To me, it was like, obviously you should get rid of Jason because this guy is put all his skills into puzzle solving and nothing else. So like once you get to the merge, this guy's gonna go on a run. Um, so you should get rid of him before Matt. And I kind of feel similar in the sense of MC. It's like, she's gonna be maybe a target come merge, but like she can also go on an immunity run and disrupt your plan or whatever else. So I don't know.
Yeah. This might have been the window. Now
It might have been.
We'll see. I don't know how good MC is at puzzles. I mean, I don't know if it's been shown MC
Yeah.
trying to do a puzzle and how that might have gone.
I don't think so. I think it's just been Jason. So yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, that's the other thing about the new era is a lot of these challenges pretty much follow the same format, which is obstacle course and a puzzle.
Yeah.
And it usually seems to come down to the puzzle. And a lot of teams that just suck at puzzles have really fumbled the bag, even after really killing the obstacle course. And rarely does it feel like the challenge is won or lost in the obstacle course alone.
That's another thing about Alex. Not to continue to dunk on Alex, but hey, that's where this episode's gone so far. So hey, I may as well lean into it. The dude is an absolute choker. He cannot finish a challenge at all. Saw it in episode 1. All he had to do was dig deep, as Jeff often says, and he couldn't do it. And then he lost to the guy who had to literally copy his puzzle because he was so bad at them. And then that happened like twice more during the great, two person tribe fallout. Was he and Sophie choked the puzzles, but I think it was more on Alex because I don't know. I just think it is. And it's interesting because you're right. Most of these challenges do come down to the puzzle, and it's not very often where you see somebody who I don't think is good at puzzles constantly be put on the puzzle. Normally they're like, all right, we got to get you out of here. Like we'll put somebody else on there. But
Yep.
No, I don't know.
But my point is about once we enter the individual phase of the game,
Yeah,
would it really be possible for MC to go on an immunity run? Possibly. Again, we
possibly.
don't we don't we don't really know about her puzzle solving aptitude. By the way, quickly on the Alex point, I've been watching with our third brother, our secret
Hmm.
third brother,
Our secret
and
third brother. Yeah.
we've been theorizing about whether Alex is a Democrat or a Republican because he's a
Mm,
staffer on the Hill.
sure.
At first, I was getting major Republican vibes from this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even want to get into all of the completely baseless speculation that we were getting into on why we thought he was a Republican. But
Hmm.
with the amount that he's choking, I'm like, nah, this guy's got to be a Democrat. No
This
way.
this this guy's a Kamala Harris Democrat for sure.
Yeah,
That's how I feel.
this guy encouraged Joe Biden to stay in the race. You know,
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like this guy's a choker. And I was getting that. I was getting that subconsciously, but you making that point about his performance in the challenges, I think that drives home why I've flipped on my read of Alex's political alignment.
Sure. Yeah. Um, Speaking of odd political alignments, I don't know what's going on with Shannon, but I want to talk about her now
Let's talk
because
about Shannon.
because look, me and you and this secret third brother, we watch Survivor together in our own little way, and I feel like Shannon, rest in peace, has slash was the person giving this season life.
Yes,
Um, and now I'm like, all right, what are we gonna do now? Because I adored watching Shannon on my television.
a
I
hundred
loved it.
percent, 100%. And that is a point that I wanted to make about where I see this season going. Because yes, this was the best episode so far.
Hmm.
Yes, the last episode I thought was fine too, better than what had come before. Now we've lost our most dynamic player,
Yeah.
and our foil for our second most dynamic player so far, which is Sage.
Hmm. For sure.
So,
And they really are like it. I was really hoping for maybe like a Bruce Katura thing where it's like it's just this one-sided rivalry that keeps going into the merge or something like that. Because I don't think it's very realistic to say that for me to expect both of them to stay in the game for a long time. But I wanted it to last a little longer because in terms of tension and in terms of personal conflict, which is why I watch Survivor, which is to see the inner dynamics and how people strangers interact and stuff like that. That is the closest we've gotten to it. Is Shannon's just bewildering stuff that she does and says, and it's just watching people react to it. That has been what has given this season life to me.
yep.
And so I'm sad she's gone. Uh, but man, it was
I'm pouring out a kombucha for our dearly departed Shannon.
but seriously, like it's easy to be like, oh man, new era. There's nothing. Camp life is boring with Hina, but it's like with Shannon, it was interesting because
Yes.
she kind of did the same thing with everyone. Like she switched it up a little. Sometimes she veered more into the spirituality. Sometimes she was really like shouts out God or whatever. Like
Right.
she really she changed it for different people. But it's funny because we did see everybody's reactions, and some people were like Sage were like, this is obviously like stupid. Some people were like, I love this girl. Like she's
Yeah.
awesome. Like that's what Christina was like. And then there were a lot of people who were kind of in between. Like Savannah was like, yeah, this is probably BS, but like we get along and I want to work with her. And then there was Alex who's like, oh yeah, no, I'm totally into this. And then someone's like, you shouldn't be into it. And he's like, okay, I guess I should be into it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, and I think that it speaks to the prevailing emotional trend of this season being a very positive one, because there's clearly this thing that happens on our tribe that goes to tribal council where you've got the 3 original Ulis, and you've got
Mhm.
Steven.
Yeah.
And Sage is the one who clearly sees through Shannon's BS.
Yeah.
And 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 she goes to Jawan with this. And Jawan has this really interesting moment where he kind of like perks up and he's like, "Oh, like you see that too?" Like almost as though he himself was not aware of how much BS he was detecting in Shannon up until the moment when Sage tells him
Yeah.
she's she's fake. She was throwing out my name. I don't like her whole deal, and she's got to go. And it kind of it all clicks into place for Jawan, where he realizes like, oh, I've been feeling that way too, but I've been going along consciously, probably subconsciously,
Mhm.
uh, with all of the people who are also going along with her stuff because it seemed like everybody else was into it. But
Yeah.
actually, probably many, if not most, of the people Shannon has encountered find her some degree of annoying
Sure.
or fake or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and this same thing happened to between Sage and Shannon in the last episode too, on the new old in between Uli Beach, where Steven and Alex um, get radicalized by Sage and realize, oh, maybe she doesn't have my best interest in mind, and maybe actually she's kind of overplaying and is doing all that, which is true. She was overplaying,
Yeah.
but I respect it at the same time because she was trying to form a cult, which that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, and you saw such a divide in Shannon between her confessionals and her scenes in camp life. You know, like
Yeah, for sure.
in her confessionals, it became clear that she actually was seeing in a clear-eyed way the dynamics socially of what was going on with everybody except for herself. You
Yeah,
know,
no, she had a pretty good read on the game. It
she
was
did.
just a matter of overplaying and trying to get everybody on her side.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, and she didn't have good self-awareness, but she had good, yeah, game awareness, I guess.
Yeah.
And the self-awareness is what did her in,
Hmm.
obviously. Um, which is it's also I don't know. I think it's always so funny how um many of the people just in general who really tout like mindfulness and like, you know, being open-hearted and I
Yeah.
don't remember everything else that she was talking about. Are also the people who so clearly do not see themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like just a great character, just a
Yes.
great you could write Shannon and she could fit right in like the Righteous Gemstones or something like that. Like
Mhm.
she would be like she feels like a sitcom character in a sense,
I mean,
and that's
she's I think a very particular kind of American new age spiritualist.
yes,
Like,
yes.
because do you know about Shannon's background?
I don't, but I look at her backwards hat and her shell necklace, and I'm like, this is yeah.
Well, I don't know a ton, but let me give you the little morsels of biographic information that I've been able to glean from Shannon.
Yeah.
So her family is from Boston, and
Okay.
they own a bar, like an Irish pub or something like that.
Okay. All right.
And this bar is where Boston Rob was moonlighting when he got cast on Survivor Marquesas.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
she, to my understanding, has this is actually the less interesting part of this to me is she has had some level of contact with perhaps even some mentorship from Boston Rob.
Okay, this makes sense actually. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what I think is the more interesting thing is this persona, it actually seems like who she is in real life too. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like she decided, oh, I'm going on Survivor, and based on Boston Rob's tutelage, I'm gonna pretend to be this new agey spiritual person. No, like
Yeah.
that's actually what she is in real life. And to me, there's also this really interesting uh, progression of, you know, Irish Catholic, like family of presumably alcoholics in Boston, and uh, now I'm going this total other direction, and I'm finding this like white girl spiritualism.
Yeah.
Um, like to me, that is a fascinating
Oh
type of
yeah.
person, and
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think that she's unique. I think a lot of people get disillusioned with the many faults of just normie American, like white American culture, and they say, "Oh, well, let me look to East Asia
Sure.
and that kind of a thing." And
I mean, it's slightly different, but you may be reminded that I was recently in college. It's true, and I mean, I'm sure you experienced it too. Like, there's a lot of like white people who walk around and are like have the like chakra like poster in their dorm room or whatever, and you know have all this stuff and are very much about like enlightening yourself, with weed or whatever. And it's like I'm not saying that's necessarily what Shannon is, because she's like a step beyond that, of course, but like it fits a similar mold. Like I have known people who are like Shannon, but like normal, if that makes
yes,
sense. Yeah,
yeah, I've even known a couple of people are who have gone beyond the normalcy and have become a little bit more like Shannon.
yeah,
But it is interesting that she clearly, in spite of all this, remained a ruthless player. You
mhm.
know,
Yeah. No, that's a good point because you know, it's interesting because I could both can tell that she was like trying to connect with people very genuinely, or at least as genuine as she thought that she was with, talking about God or whatever. But at the same time, I felt like it was very much like I could see her getting that advice from Boston Rob to be like, make sure everybody's in your circle and like punish people who are not in your circle or something
right?
like that.
Right.
Um, so maybe it's a bit of column A, column B. I don't know, but yeah, Shannon's dynamic with basically everybody in the game was super interesting to me, Sage especially. But you know,
Yes. Well, and let's talk about Sage for a minute because Sage comes across, I think, from first glance, like she would be in Shannon's general ballpark of person.
sure, yeah,
Her name is, for one, Sage. That's about as hippie of a white girl name as you can get.
hmm yeah.
And she's a social worker, and she
She's
has,
all these tattoos and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, she's like, you would think like Sage is like a slightly like quirky alternative person.
mhm,
It turns out that Sage is the other kind of quirky alternative person,
yeah,
where
crossroads.
and I this is something that I see all the time because both of these people exist in high abundance where I live in Minneapolis, um, where Sage actually is concerned with like a true authenticity of self. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
where Sage understands who she is and has taken steps to like be that person and
hmm
like not be quirky for quirky's sake, but actually just be herself.
Yeah.
And that is how she sees so clearly that Shannon is not who she is presenting as,
hmm
because for a true normie, Shannon and Sage might be indistinguishable at first glance.
Yeah.
But for Sage, who's also on the alternative side, um, she sees that it does not come from a place that is pure of heart.
Yeah.
Uh, she sees that, okay, maybe Shannon really has had this spiritual awakening and whatnot, but there is this divide between who Shannon presents to her tribe and who she presents to, say, the confessional camera. Um,
Yeah. This is an aside, but I do want to put a pin in that and just mention, because you said something offhandedly that makes me want to complain. You said that Sage and Shannon, upon first glance, are the same person. I know you didn't mean it literally, but I've seen a lot of people be like, all these girls with S names are the exact same, between Savannah and Sophie and Sage and Shannon and the other Sophie. And I'm like, I can get you confusing the Sophie with an E with people because she doesn't exist. Like, we don't know who she is.
Yeah.
But like everybody else is just like these are just like these are different people. I don't know what you want. Like,
Yeah. I think that obviously the rivalry distinguished Sage and Sophie, I would hope for most casual
yeah,
viewers. For me, I mean, just knowing both types of people in my personal life,
sure,
I was able to clock that difference immediately
yeah,
in a way where if you're not hanging around a lot of like alternative types, you might not.
yeah. I
Um,
guess that's a good point. Yeah.
and
Um,
I think that was why Sage saw it so clearly and why someone like Jawan kind of it had to be pointed out to him a little bit.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, that's actually interesting because I think about once again Alex in his own way on Capitol Hill. I mean, this is what makes Survivor fun. He's probably not meeting people like Shannon or Sage, and so he gets onto a tribe with either of them, and he sees Sage, and it's like, this girl's weird. She talks about poop, and sees Shannon, and she's like, oh, she seems like she really wants to connect with me and work with me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be more gravitated to her naturally, um, and I mean, regardless, I don't know if this is necessarily the difference between real and fake or authentic and not authentic, but like Shannon is definitely trying to to usher you into her world, if that
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep.
And Sage is not trying to do that, like,
No.
at all. Um,
No. I mean, Sage is playing the game. You know,
mhm.
obviously Sage was fake, if you want to call it that, in responding to Shannon in the way that Shannon was putting out to her.
Sure,
You
yeah,
know, the difference was you could tell she was having a hard time with it internally. She's like, I know this is what I need to do, and so I'm gonna fucking like grimace at the camera while I do it.
hmm
Which
yeah,
led to some such good moments.
yes, seriously,
And she was very aware of that. And ironically, Sage's much more low-key social game seems to be working out for her. I mean, I think she just got a new ally in Steven.
yeah.
Going forward into the merge, Hina's not going to have the numbers. Is it going to be every man for himself in terms of the old Hina? Are MC and Steven uh,
MC and Steven and Christina and
Christina
Sophie.
and
Yeah.
Sophie, and is that it?
Yeah, those are the only four
Yeah.
Hina left. Yeah.
Yes. Are they just going to have to? Are they even going to be able to stay as a block? Well, maybe if someone like Sage decides, oh, I have a connection with Steven now. We worked together. Jawan is on the bottom. Maybe we
Yeah.
bring in him. Okay, all of a sudden we have 6.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that like this is something we see in basically every season, right? Is like people who overplay typically are gonna be bigger targets. Like,
Mhm.
that's just how it goes. And people who are more low key, like Sage, who, despite being a wacky personality, has been arguably, other than Sophie with an E, who I still don't know if she actually exists in real life. Um, like, other than her, like, she's been probably the most low key player in the game.
Mhm.
In terms of like what we're presented as an audience, of course.
In terms
Um,
of social game.
yes, in terms of social game, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a good thing. Like, I think about like Sage and Jawan, like the reason why, or Savannah and Jawan, I should say. Um, the reason why Savannah is going after Jawan is he is not being low key. He's being over the top. Like, I'm gonna go collect wood with and I'm just wood, and I'm gonna use. Oh, I accidentally used your bag, and oops, I took your water bottle. Like,
Right.
whether those are mistakes or not, which they are mistakes, but it's
Whether
still
it's intentional or not, you mean?
yes, yeah. Um, uh, you know, Either way, that's visible, and it's
Yeah.
something that you can look at and you can be like, well, that's a reason to get rid of him. Sage, the reason that everybody's given for getting rid of her has basically been like, I'm not that close with her, which is probably in its own way more valid reasoning than getting rid of Jawan for using your bag for, finding an idol or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, people want a real reason to vote you out on Survivor. I feel like most of the time it's not as simple as people don't want to say it's because I don't really like you or something like that. Like that's just not how it works, especially in the new era. So yeah. I like Sage. I think my Sage stocks have gone up, especially in this past episode. She's very good. Like I was a little hesitant in the first few episodes, but I get it. I get
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah. I mean, she laid low, and now obviously with Tribes of Four, you really can't do that. You can't lay low anymore. And she pulled off a vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she brought in someone who was not a member of her original tribe to do it. I mean, I don't know what other choice Steven really had,
Yeah.
but still.
But still.
Now we'll see. Will this blow up for her in terms of the other Ulis?
That is an interesting question. I think the person whose face it will blow up in is Jawan's.
Yes.
I think is the answer. Regardless of whether Sage tries to throw him under the bus, which I don't think she will, honestly. But I think regardless, there is a bus and it is coming straight towards Jawan, and he can do nothing about it. Yep. So, yeah.
Unless he and Sage jump ship and team up with the old Hina.
Yes.
In which case they actually would have the numbers, or I don't really know. I mean, we're making the assumption that Alex would go along with wherever Sophie is. I feel like Alex might be a bit of a free agent too, going into the merge.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is a free agent. I just think like Ohtani with the Dodgers, he's just most likely to sign with the team that knows him the best or whatever, or the area who knows him best, which is whatever area Sophie's in. So, yeah, I don't know. But no, I like Sage. I did love the one-sided rivalry between her and Shannon, which is something, as we both said, that on this. I really loved, one of the things I loved about Shannon was her, at least in these past two episodes, her like trying to start like a flirtmance thing or some sort of showmance with like just whoever. I don't know if that's just boredom or if that was strategy or genuinely Shannon just like wanted to do that. I don't know. But she tried doing that with Alex, I believe, and then she tried doing that with Sage, and it's like, all right, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the cult leader thing, It's the make everyone feel like the prettiest girl in the room, and they'll all be on your side, and you'll be friends forever, and at the end you screw them all over and you win. I think that was her. That must have been her thinking, or maybe it was that she knows no other way to be.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It's a good point. I think about the successful cult leaders in Survivor history, whether intentional cult leaders or not. I think about Boston Rob and Redemption Island, and it's like he was interesting because he wasn't really trying. This is a married guy who has kids, but he was kind of a bro to the bros, with your Grants and your Phillips and whoever else. Like, yeah, man, I'm a man, whatever. And then for the women, he was like a mentor. Like, I'll show you the ropes in Survivor, and it's like I'll take you under my wing as like my daughter or whatever, Natalie or whatever. Which was
I mean, there was some like psychosexual stuff going on with that too, because
definitely
also he was like a Survivor celebrity, and he was making all the people sexiest man in the world lists, and at that time, I mean,
probably and then a Coach I think was kind of similar, except Coach was obviously way more overtly cult-like. But I think he had the same sort of intro where it's like, this is a Survivor celebrity. I can show you the ropes, blah, 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 blah. And then thanks to the magic of Brandon Hance and God, was able to get somebody on his side forever, and really preach the good word of Coach Wade more than Coach Wade himself. And then you form a cult around that. Um, and I guess Rob had the same thing where Philip was also kind of preaching the good word of Boston Rob the whole season.
Mhm.
Um, and the only other real example I can think of is Kim in One World, which
Mhm.
I think is a little different because I don't know if she was trying to start a cult, but she basically did.
Yeah.
So, and I
Yeah.
think it was mostly just because everybody really liked her and trusted her blue eyes or whatever. But yeah,
I mean, she had shooters, and
yeah,
nobody wanted to get her out for reasons that still kind of baffle me.
hmm yeah,
Uh, she had shooters. I don't think Shannon really had any shooters. I mean,
no.
I think she had people who wanted to work with her, but I don't think there's anybody who would have been preaching the good word of Shannon.
I think I think Christina would have, but I think they got swapped away from each other because
Mm,
when they had their initial conversation 2 episodes ago, Shannon was like, "Yeah, I love God," and Christina was like, "I love God too. Are we best friends?" And it's like I saw the makings of
you might be right about that
yeah
because, I mean, Christina, she seems a little bit out of her depth on
yeah
Survivor. This episode, she had a panic attack at the swap.
hmm
Um, I mean, I feel for the woman. She's clearly very homesick. We haven't really seen much of her gameplay. Um,
yeah
the one thing that stuck out to me this episode was she got swapped onto a tribe with Sophie, with Yellow Sophie,
hmm
and these are the two of, if not the two people left who have gotten the fewest confessionals.
yeah
I believe they are the two. This is another thing that Instagram account Survivor Fact Checker tracks, is the
hmm
number of confessionals per episode, and uh, I think that neither of them has even gotten to where, like, say, Jeremiah was, who got
wow
voted
yeah.
out like 2 episodes ago.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Um, Now, Jeremiah was one of the bigger characters. I mean, his tribe kept losing, so we saw a lot of them.
Sure.
Uh, but so we haven't seen either of their gameplay really, and Christina said, like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna try with Sophie, and Sophie's my girl."
hmm
And I think we can just write off that alliance. That's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
If we're not seeing either of them, I don't think it's going anywhere.
The thing about Christina and Sophie with an E is like I do think there's a difference though. Where Christina, we've seen enough of her that I can guess her personality sort of. And I've seen that, she's sitting out of these challenges and she's an excitable personality. She's had her panic attack. I feel like she's had like survivor moments like to so what I'm saying is like she screams to me like gone next episode. Like that's how I feel, or at least soon. Meanwhile, Sophie, it's like we have gotten so little from her that if we just get rid of her with no narrative attached to her whatsoever, it'll be like, well, who is that? Who is that?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, she's the one where that the moment that she starts revealing something about her personal life or like home life, and we see like a baby photo of her, she's going home that episode
yeah.
because there needs to be some stakes for when she inevitably goes. Now, I do feel like, so this episode, Sophie had 2 confessionals, which is one more than she had gotten in any other episode so far.
hmm
I am moderately tracking Sophie because, uh, as viewers may or may not know, in our family, we have episode 1 winner picks where
Yeah.
we have to choose a winner uh, before the first tribal council, is
hmm
typically how we do it. I made the mistake of choosing Jake. This is pretty much how my life has been going in terms of fantasy football too. Everybody I picked is out for the
Yeah.
season. I'm doing horrible
Mhm.
in fantasy and in fantasy survivor. My guy got medevaced. Our father chose Sophie, and I didn't actually hate it at the time.
No, I think it made sense then. I think it makes sense now, honestly.
I don't. You think it makes sense now?
Well, no, it didn't. But I understand his argument was basically we don't know nothing about this girl,
Yeah.
so
I mean, right. Episode 1, I feel like we did not get a great impression of most players.
yeah.
Most of them seemed like they were not the type to win.
Mhm.
Ironically, the one person who I think everyone in our family was wrong about and nobody chose was the other Sophie, who to me came across as a little bit villainous in the first episode.
Yeah.
And so I thought she clearly seemed like she was going to be important, but maybe in more of a final boss way. Now, I mean,
Now
if
she's
I
a
were
hero.
to, yeah, and if I were to repick, um, I would I would choose her 100%. Yellow Sophie seemed okay. I don't know. She's got that kind of look about her, like she might be like strategic, like she's got things rattling around the brain, and that may well be true. I think she's come across so far as a little bit unpleasant. I think
Yeah.
that's the word that I would come back to. Not that I think that she's a bad person or anything, but I feel like her what screen time she's gotten, her edit has portrayed her as somebody who complains, who sort of has it out for people, but who doesn't actually have any power. So it doesn't matter. Um, I had a theory, and maybe this is still true, that uh, that moment where she was at the reward challenge
Hmm.
and complained about the fruit that
Yeah.
they brought out, which honestly, like, fair. To be honest,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
I think the rewards in Survivor used to be one of those, like, there used to be spectacle to the rewards, if nothing
Sure.
else, or
Yeah.
like true stakes, like, oh, this would really change your life at camp, in a real way. The
Hmm.
have-nots would become the haves, etc. Now it's you get a snack, and
Yeah.
not to discount how important that could be, for challenges going forward or whatever, to get some calories. It was an underwhelming reward. I think
Hmm.
she had I think she was right about that. But my theory was that moment where she basically complained to Jeff to his face, uh, she's getting purpled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I actually wanted to bring this up because getting grilled cheese is kind of the lamest. It's one of the lamest rewards you can imagine on Survivor.
It's not even a nutritious meal. Like,
No,
fruit at least is nutritious.
it reminds me, since Sophie with an E is complaining about like this is a bad reward. It reminds me of something that happens in Survivor Gabon, where Jeff brings out in its own way one of the lamest rewards ever, which is a vegetable garden for the tribe mates, which is very funny because first of all they're in the middle of Gabon. It's not like the soil is not that rich there and stuff like
No.
that. But beyond that, it's like you're here for how much longer? Like 2 weeks. You're not gonna grow any ripe tomatoes in that time or
Yeah.
whatever. But very funny. And the whole tribe, the whole cast is like, no, Jeff, this sucks. Like we don't want this. And he's like, well, we don't have another reward, so you got to deal with it. And they're like, oh, all right. And that kind of reminded me of that I see parallels to what Sophie with an E was going through because it's like I don't like the way that she put it. I don't like that she was like, this is diet food or whatever, or
Yeah.
maybe the
Oh, she
opposite.
was, at least the edit, however they edited it, she didn't come across well in
No,
that moment.
no. Um, but like I get it. Like if I were presented grilled cheese, especially if it were just the grilled cheese and not like the brownies, the chocolate brownies or whatever
The
else,
salty potato chips.
salty potato chips. Um, I would probably be like, dude, that's bread and cheese. You can't fool me. I know what that is, and that's been laying in the Fijian sun for hours now. Like that is not a crisp bread. That is probably a very soggy grilled
Oh no!
cheese.
Did you see those things? They were thin. They were gray. They looked
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah,
They didn't even look like good grilled cheeses.
no, no. And if I'm having a bad grilled cheese, at least like maybe I could have some like tomato soup to dip it in. No soup, not souped up,
Yep.
none soup. So
You know what? Like when you're being starved to death out there, like any food is good food. It's calories. It's gonna give you energy. Like
yeah.
it's it is better than nothing. But man, they used to take these people on helicopter rides. You know
Hmm.
what happened to all that? They
Yeah.
used to. Yeah, I don't know. The chickens are nice. I like the chickens add a little flavor.
Yeah.
Both.
I agree with that. I mean, I did enjoy once again going back to Alex. Alex has had a bit of an interesting character arc where he's killing things now. He's become a murderer. So last episode he killed a chicken and was like, I just killed a chicken, and then was like smiling about it because that's
Because he's a
Alex.
smiley boy.
Hmm. And eating worms on the worm farm and stuff like that the past few episodes. And then what was this episode? He killed
He
something
killed
else
a
or something.
crab.
Yeah, crab.
A tiny
And
little crab.
and he
Like
was like,
this,
"You're dead," or something.
and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, Alex, you killed the crab."
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, man. Good.
Hmm.
You're having your survivor experience out here. I just know if and when he goes, and he could make it. He could make it to the end. I
Sure, he
can
can
see
make it
that
to the
happening.
end. Yeah.
If and when he goes, he's going to have the most boring final confessional of all time because he's going to be like, "This was such an amazing experience. I was so happy to be out here. Oh, I wish I could have made it a little bit." No, he's not even going to say that. He's not even going to say he wishes he could make it a little bit further. He's going to have nothing but gratitude.
Yeah.
I need to see this guy get fucked. I need to see him. I need to see something bad happen to him. If for no other reason,
But it already happened. Is the thing. His
yeah,
number one ally got bitten by a snake and then went home, and then he was like, "Ah,
what are
that's
you going to do?
Survivor." Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Maybe I need somebody. I'll put it this way. I need somebody to fuck him.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
need I need somebody to screw him over.
Yeah.
I need something to break his veneer.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um I know it's in there. I know it's in there, Alex. I know you have something ruthless in there. You wouldn't work on Capitol Hill if you didn't.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. He's you know maybe he is the ultimate Democrat because so far he's been playing up like, oh man, I can kiss so much ass. Like I'm so good at like
Yep.
at
He's
like
into the
playing.
median voter right now.
Yeah, I'm so good at playing up to people, but he hasn't actually done anything.
No.
So, there you go. I really do feel like he has been coasting the entire game. And honestly, now that, he is in a tribe or an original tribe of just two people, like he's also in the ultimate coast mode in the sense of like, he can just sit back while the original Hina and Uli go at each other and they're like, yeah, well, yeah, uh,
Well, I think it requires a little bit of a postmortem for the original Blue Tribe. Like what because he can't have just coasted. I mean, three was it three people
yeah.
were voted out of that tribe? You
Yeah,
know?
but you think about the actual votes, like the Nicole vote was, I think, sort of it was basically consensus. We got to vote somebody out
Yeah. Well,
initially, and
Nicole and Annie, I think both were kind of it's going to be these two first. It's just a matter of what order.
yeah, and also you think about who Alex is, and Alex is this smart, pretty strong looking guy who,
I thought you were calling him pretty, which he is kind of pretty, actually.
yeah, I mean I guess it also helps
It probably helps, actually.
yeah, like just knowing how Survivor works. It's like, yeah, people like Jake and people like Alex, they're not going to be the first people to go home.
Right.
And then Jake gets bit by a snake, and then all of a sudden it's three people, comma, oh, by the way, Alex has an idol.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
So
yeah,
the only thing he's done is find this idol, which okay, like credit there.
sure.
Doesn't, especially like those first uh the original beach beware advantages,
Hmm.
they haven't, those aren't really super interesting TV at this point.
No, no. You really have to put a gimmick, like a real actual gimmick on it. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed the literal ball and chain from this
Yep.
season, but
Yep.
I couldn't tell you what the other ones were. I already forget.
It was all just, yeah. I mean, Rizzo had to go find it in like the ocean.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't know. The paint one was my favorite.
Yeah,
From
the paint one was fun.
last season.
Hmm.
That was the best one by far. And who was it that found that? It was an
That was
older.
that Sue, right? Was that Sue?
Yeah, it was Sue. She played it off so well. I guess 2
Yeah.
seasons ago that was. Like I was like, that was the one moment where I was like, maybe Sue's got the juice, and then she didn't. But like those are great. Yeah, this season it's kind of whatever. Now Sophie, talking about advantages, found an advantage this episode. She
Yeah.
found a knowledge is power.
That was crazy to me, by the way. I can't believe that was just like out there, because to me, knowledge is power. Like, is still, other than I guess your super idols or whatever else. Like, I think it is the best advantage in Survivor history, because like so many people, especially no, just so many people in Survivor history, regardless of what time period you look at, most idols are public or become public, and RIZGOD baby's idol is already public.
Totally public.
And Sophie can take it at any time.
Yep.
At any time. Like
Yep.
it's interesting because like then you get into the conversation of like, okay, well, if you take, Rizzo's idol, then maybe you're burning a bridge, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like I get that. But I mean, his idol will probably not be the only public advantage at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I bet Alex's idol will become public at some point. People will know about it. It's only a matter of time, looking through his bag, whatever else. MC has an advantage, right?
MC has she's like gotten the beware advantage, but she hasn't gone to a tribal council.
Gotcha.
So she, I think, has not actually found the idol yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds right. So, it's like there will be more advantages that will be made public. Oh, by the way, we're not at the merge beach yet, and there's probably another idol out there too. So, I don't know. I feel like Sophie is just like the way I see it going. If I look into my big crystal ball of predictions, is that at some point Sophie is going to make a Survivor big move and take out somebody with an idol, with their idol or something, or at least take it. And then people are going to be, and then it's going to be a crazy episode. It's going to be a good episode, I hope. And then after that, Sophie will go home like in the next episode.
Right.
And it'll be kind of like Andy from 2 seasons ago, where it's like, whoa, Operation Italy, craziest move in Survivor history or whatever. Like, whoa, this is wild. And then Andy goes home soon after that, and it's like, whoa, Andy, you were self-conscious about your coconut opening day one. You got this far, buddy.
Yep.
Good job.
Yep.
And for Sophie, it's like it won't be as condescending as my claps were right there, but it'll be
like you made it through a disaster tribe, and like really she played that as well as she possibly could have.
Exactly. And then you took control of the game. Good job.
But to that end, is the knowledge is power not actually something of a liability?
I think it's good if theoretically you can hold it until the end of the game, probably.
Right.
Right. But I just don't think most of the time that's very realistic. Um, because
Well,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like to me, it's crazy that you give it out in the pre-merge because like to
yeah.
me, it feels like such a late game thing, or it should be at least a merge thing. Like it was introduced in Survivor 41 as something as a big twist at the merge, basically,
Mhm.
to make the big tribal councils even more chaotic, um, and to
Well,
make who you tell your information to more vital.
I would argue that this is functionally a merge advantage because right now what it's looking like is we've swapped from two tribes to three for one episode. And
Yeah.
in the preview for next week, we see that a merge of some kind is happening.
Hmm.
Um, whether it's a mergatory or an actual merge, I guess we don't
We'll
know.
see. Yeah.
But the text of Sophie's knowledge is power definitely implied that it was only available starting this episode
Hmm.
after this swap from two to three.
Yeah.
Um, and presumably there's one of these at all three. Well,
I wouldn't bank on that. I think
actually, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
when within the episode does she find it? Is it after is it after the immunity challenge?
Um, I
No,
can't remember to be
it's
honest.
not after. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's edited.
Let me see. I can look. Yeah, but either way, it's hard to say based on editing alone because sometimes they put these things out of order,
That's what I
anyways.
mean.
But
So as I'm kind of talking through this, I wonder if those were added to both of the tribal beaches where they won the immunity challenge and
okay, yeah.
functionally made the merge.
So according to the actual episode, it happened
Yeah,
before the immunity challenge. So yeah, whatever that means to you. But
right. Yeah, I don't know, but the point is, I mean, it would be crazy if only that extremely stacked tribe that we were talking about got one of these on their beach. I
I,
bet there's at least one more, probably two more floating around.
but that would be even more insane though if you have three knowledges as power. Because imagine that in an actual tribal council. I bet. Imagine Sophie's like, "I'm taking your idol, Rizzo," and he's like, "No." And then Steven's like, "Actually, I'll take that idol. Thanks very much." And then Alex is like, "Well, actually, I'll take it," and that'd be
Right.
ridiculous.
But maybe the producers are banking on we're only having these out there for like this one day while we have three tribes again.
I think it's more realistic that it's like one of them's a beware advantage, one of them is one of those idol nullifiers,
Sure.
and then another one is like I don't know, like a vote steal or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
could be.
Hard to say. Um, but yeah, no. That's all to say that yeah, the grilled cheeses looked pretty gross. Yeah.
The
Um,
point is the grilled cheeses sucked. I made a way better grilled cheese for myself yesterday.
mhm. Yeah. Well, we're about to go in the merge now, and I don't know if it's going to be mergatory or whatever. I hope the silver lining of Jake almost dying by a snake bite is that we won't have the swap tribe, the split tribal council this season or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which is my hope and my prayer. But we are about to go to merge, and we've already kind of talked about what the dynamics will look like, and I think it'll be pretty interesting. I think the multiple swaps makes things a lot more dynamic.
Yep.
Um, do you think that
Almost
it's
everybody knows each other at this point.
do you think that at the end of the day it's going to go back to being like an Uli versus Hina thing though?
It's an interesting question because just talking about the numbers, we now we have going into this merge, whatever it is, we have two original Kellys.
Hmm.
We have what?
Five.
Five original Ulis
Hmm.
and four. Is that right?
Yeah, for Hina. Yeah.
And four Hina. Um, So the Ulis do have a slight plurality, but they don't have a majority.
Yeah.
Now, if you consider Sophie an honorary, I'm trying to actually use the tribe names, which I never do.
Uli.
I just think of them as green,
Sure,
yellow,
sure.
not even green. What am I talking about? Uh, if you think of her, then they do have an advantage. So so it could be a pagonging. That could absolutely happen.
Yeah.
My hunch is this Shannon vote might actually, for as sad as it is that we don't have our funniest player anymore, it could really introduce an element of, is Uli Strong still a thing?
Yeah.
And they've been playing up, are there cracks, in a way where they have not been playing up, are there cracks in Hina Strong?
Yeah, it's true.
They've been playing up this, maybe one-sided beef between Savannah and Jawan. Obviously between Sage and Shannon. Now, it could be that secretly everybody on Uli is like, oh, thank God Shannon's gone.
Maybe. Yeah.
Could be. I don't. I like to believe I would have been more on the Sage side in this, and I would have seen through Shannon's BS immediately.
Yeah.
I can't really know how it would have been if I was out there on the island.
Sure.
But she's not someone who I would have wanted in my alliance. I would have wanted to be on Shannon's side if Shannon was in power, but moving forward, I mean, she's an unpredictable player.
I think that's what a lot of people were thinking, though, probably, is like, if Shannon is in power, I'm going to be on her side. And I think that's kind of like the default state, because she, talked to people. She brought all these people in, like, kind of forcibly so in her own way, and was like, we are together. We are, doing this for something greater. And kind of similar to Coach in South Pacific, where it's like he brings these people together, and we're like, we're going to do this together as a unit. And it's like, if you are Sophie with an E Clark, you're not going to say no. You'll say, yeah, no, shouts out God or whatever.
Yep.
And you'll win at the end. And I think that's probably what a lot of people were doing with Shannon as well, if I had to guess.
I mean, that's basically exactly what Sage was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, Sage was playing very much like Sophie Clark, only making it much more obvious to the camera, which is fun. I mean, I like Sophie Clark a lot as a player.
Sure.
But she wasn't the most fun to watch all the time.
Yeah.
Now, I do think that this core alliance of Savannah, RIZGOD, and who am I forgetting?
Nate?
No, who's the other person on that yellow tribe right now besides
Sophie
and Sophie? Yeah, maybe Sophie less so, but maybe Nate too. I think they're running the game.
Yeah.
That's where it seems like it's headed. I think that if there's a difference between that, because just based on pure like editing and like what we've seen in terms of their strategic acumen so far, I mean, Savannah, Sophie, and Nate seem like they are ahead above the rest.
Yeah.
Izzo also seems to have some strategic chops and is clearly seems like he's a good social player. I guess I could be wrong about that. It seems like that's where it's headed. I think if there's a chance to break that up, it is by Sage and Jawan flipping.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because if Sage and Jawan linked up with Yellow Sophie, Christina, and Steven, then they would actually have the majority.
Yeah. My biggest like hurdle when it comes to that is just like Jawan has gone out on such a limb so many times in basically declining to flip or declining to make a move, or at least between Matt and Jason these past two episodes, that I had to wonder, like, sure, you got rid of Shannon this episode, but I wouldn't be shocked if come the merge he goes back and is like, you won't believe what Sage did or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah,
And
and I don't see Jawan as being a particularly strategic player.
no, I
He,
don't either.
I think that he does seem to be playing the loyalty game, and it's hard to know what was going through his head when Sage recruited him to vote for Shannon, why he went along with it,
Yeah,
why he didn't go to Shannon about that. Um, I don't really know. Maybe Jawan's got more going on than we know. But yes, I do think that that is the most likely thing. But it would be fun if Sage or someone like that tried to make a move.
for
The other
sure.
thing that could happen is the old Hina, they try to recruit somebody over to their side and are just totally wrong about the right person to do that with.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm guessing probably Nate. Uh,
could
I think
be.
I think they would try to recruit Nate, and Nate would go along with it, and then totally just, oh guys, they're trying to flip me. Like we gotta get rid of. Oh,
Yeah,
Yellow Sophie, she's trying to flip me. Like let's get her out right now, and then we'll find out
totally.
about how she was bullied in high school for being too pretty, and then she'll go.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's a good transition into the last thing I will ask you, which is we are now heading into a merge situation. Make the big prediction. Who is going to go home this next episode?
Hmm. Hmm. This is a
Very interesting.
this is an interesting question. Joey, do you have a thought on this that you would like to share?
Yes, I will share. I kind of already shared it, but I'll share it again. I think Christina is not long for this world.
Yeah.
I think that regardless of whether it's a swap, whether it's a mergatory, whether it's whatever else, I think that she is somebody who can be an easy person to throw under the bus. I think if it's a mergatory, like a standard one, then you're more likely to see somebody else go because all things considered, Christine is still pretty under the radar. She's not like a target necessarily, but I think like in a situation where it's either a normal vote or it's a split, then it's like Christina can easily be collateral damage from a bad tribe split from the colored rocks they pick or whatever else, or just as like we need to get rid of somebody on Hina from original Hina. MC is in good with Savannah and Rizzo right now. Steven is in good with Sage right now, and Jawan maybe, and blah blah blah. I don't know, Christina. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel. Um,
I think it's a very good thought. I mean, my only I guess I don't feel like I've got a great theory in my mind of what happens in a merge boot other than
sure.
if and when there's a consensus merge boot. Like maybe that's what seems to be happening more often is people try to just find a consensus because otherwise it's going to be like let's all just be allies for one vote.
Yeah.
Um, because otherwise it's just going to be too chaotic and unpredictable, and
Hmm.
it could be me at the end of the day. Um, so typically, the consensus person would be somebody who is in the bottom alliance but seems like a big threat, and
Yeah.
I don't think anybody fits that bill this season. There's nobody on Hina who seems like a particularly adept player, with the exception of potentially MC.
Yeah.
So MC could be my sleeper pick. I would definitely agree with you more. I feel like Christina is more likely based on what you've laid out.
Hmm.
But the only person who I think fits that archetype of on the bottom, but seems like a somewhat threatening player is MC.
Yeah. I can totally see that being a possibility. Uh, yeah, no, I totally get that, and I think that there's a good shot where if these original Uli players do link back up and are like, we can take control of the game now. They'll think about who is the biggest threat, who's original Hina, and it should be MC.
And there's a small but real chance that MC does not have a vote this
That's
next
also true. Yeah.
because she, I don't believe, has been to tribal council so far.
No, she is not. She's gotten first in every tribe challenge that
Is
she's
that
been a part
so?
of. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So talk about a dominant physical player. Like
Hmm.
proof is in the pudding there. Obviously, they've been tribal challenges, so it's not all on her. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it still says something.
that says something.
Yeah.
Um, I there is a chance though that she doesn't have a vote if she cannot find this idol or secure it, or it seems like a lot of what they're going for in terms of the beware advantage is it's going to be a very conspicuous act to find the idol.
Sure.
Well, she's potentially going to have more people on the beach than there have ever been this whole season who could potentially see her go for that idol.
Yeah.
So she'll be in a precarious spot, I think.
Yeah. Totally. And with that, I mean, that kind of wraps up what I have to say. Is there anything else on your mind regarding this episode or this season so far?
No, I think we've pretty well covered it. I think last time we went much more chronologically. This was a very free flowing episode. But you know what? The act of discussing it really opens me up to the possibilities of this season.
Yes. Yeah.
It makes me a bit more bullish on it than I was before. Even though Savannah's gone, or not Savannah, Shannon is gone. Yeah,
Hmm.
these
It is
S. You're
confusing.
right. You're
Yeah.
right about the S women.
Hmm. But it will be all right. This too shall pass, as Shane would tell us. Look forward to the future and believe in God or something like that. I don't know what you would say. But no, I really do think that like this was a good episode, and we may have lost the light in our lives, but I think that it's good for creating more interesting dynamics. I think Uli needed to lose somebody
Yeah.
to have like to put pressure on them. There's just no pressure on
If
any of them.
if she had not gone or somebody else on Uli, then it would look like we're on our way toward a complete and total pagonging.
Yeah, for sure. And now it's like, all right, well, I expect interesting things to happen in the
Yes.
future, and that's really all I
To be
can ask.
clear, it could still be a pagonging. It really
Oh
could.
yeah,
And
but
it if I had to put money on it, that's kind of what I would say.
we'll
But
see. We'll see.
we'll see. We will see.
All right. Well, with that, thank you so much, Greg, for joining me on this episode of Seen a Good Moves Lately. And thank you for listening. And have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Bye.
Bye.